subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. The cargo no one wanted. The merchant's hand trembled as he released the chain. I'm not paying in credits, he muttered, avoiding eye contact. She's yours now. Reed Halverson stared down at the alien female shackled to the cargo post like some kind of living crate. He said nothing at first. He couldn't. He was too busy trying to process what he was looking at. Tall, thin, and humanoid in form, her features were angular but graceful. Pale skin with faint golden undertones shimmered in the station's dim overhead light. Her silvery white hair was braided tightly, though dusty and frayed at the ends. But it was her eyes that caught him off guard. They weren't begging. They weren't broken. They were watching, calculating. This some kind of joke? Reed asked flatly, arms crossed, voice low. Ideal in star drives, not people. You don't want the trouble of turning her in, the merchant said, stepping back as if afraid she might lunge. I've had her 2 cycles. Says nothing, eats nothing. Tried selling her 3 times, and each buyer returned her like she was cursed. But she's healthy, got all limbs, strong, and look at her, probably enhanced. Might be some military breed. Reed narrowed his eyes. And you're just giving her to me. For a half-dead plasma engine, just take her. All right, the man snapped, sweat beading on his forehead. I got ships shadowing me through 5 sectors now. She's bad luck. Please. That last word please didn't come easily to men like this. Traders didn't beg. They bartered. Which meant whatever was behind this exchange, it wasn't normal. Reed looked down again. She was still staring. No fear. No tears. He reached out and took the chain slowly, locking eyes with her. What's your name? He asked. Nothing. Can you speak? Silence. Fine. If she was some genetically engineered bioslave, she might not even have a voice. Or maybe she was smart enough not to talk here, in the open. In a lawless trade hub like Driftpoint, 12 where silence was often smarter than words. Reed turned away without another glance at the merchant. You try to screw me over, he muttered. I'll find you. But the man was already gone. Inside the ship, the Marlinth chain clinked softly as the alien woman followed. Read through the belly of his mid-tier cargo ship. It wasn't luxurious, but it was clean, and that already made it better than most places she'd seen. Sit, Reed instructed, pointing to a fold-down seat near the engineering console. She didn't move. He sighed and turned back toward the cockpit, tossing his jacket onto the co-pilot's seat. The Marlin was old but reliable, with reinforced hull plating, long-range scanners, and a cloaking mod he'd stolen during a botched smuggling run 6 years ago. All right, he called back. Not gonna make you talk, but here are the rules. No sabotage, no sneaking around at night, and if you try to hijack the ship, I eject the escape pod with you inside. Fair. He waited. Still nothing. Fine. He pulled up the navlogs and began reviewing the outer patrol routes. He had a deal to complete at Oren's Folly, but something about this new BAFTA was gnawing at him. He looked back again. She was still standing now, inspecting a panel on the wall, not just looking, studying, like she knew what each button did. He closed the cockpit door behind him and activated internal sensors. Biothermal readings confirmed it. Heart rate steady, no stress spikes, no adrenaline dumps. Whoever she was, she wasn't afraid of being here. 12 hours later, Reed awoke with a start. A faint sound echoed from the corridor like a whisper, wrapped in static. He grabbed his sidearm and slid open the cabin door silently. The ship was quiet, almost too quiet. He moved slowly toward the engine bay, where he'd last seen her, but she wasn't there. The chain lay on the ground, unlatched. He raised his weapon. All right, princess, game's up. Then he turned and she was right there, standing behind him. No chains, no fear. But what froze him wasn't her presence, it was what she was holding, his plasma pistol, pointed at his chest. You're not going to shoot me, Reed said carefully. She didn't speak. You don't know how to use it. Her finger hovered over the trigger. Her hands weren't shaking. Do it then, he said. But you won't get far. This ship needs neural clearance to jump. She finally spoke, voice low but sharp like cold steel. You think I haven't piloted Terran junk before? He blinked. Her accent was strange, fluid, regal, even. You're not a slave, he said quietly. She tilted her head. No, and you are not as ignorant as most humans. That makes you useful. For now, she dropped the weapon to the floor. Reed didn't move. He was processing everything: her speech, her confidence, her calm control. Who are you? He asked again. She stepped past him, eyes scanning the control panels, checking the system layout like she'd done it 100 times before. They'll come for me, she said. And when they do, ... She looked over her shoulder, her golden eyes glowing faintly under the emergency lights. You'll wish you'd let me die. Later that night, Reed replayed the last few hours in his mind as he sat in the cockpit. She had returned to the sleeping quarters on her own. No fight, no escape attempt, but also no answers. He ran a system check again. No tampering, no unauthorized comms. And yet ... He noticed something subtle. An outgoing signal burst, compressed and encrypted, almost untraceable. But it was there. She'd sent a message. But to whom? He checked the signal trail. It ended in deep void, outside normal space. Lanes, some kind of dormant beacon. Was she royalty, military, refugee, or worse, was she bait? A trap planted on purpose. His HUD flickered as long-range sensors pinged something, a distortion field. Then, a second ping, followed by a proximity alert. A message broke through the static, unmarked and ancient in its packet format. 4 words, for chilling words: we are retrieving her. Echoes in her silence. The pendant was still warm in Reed's hand, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. He stared at it, trying to make sense of the strange images that had flooded his mind. They hadn't been memories. Not exactly. More like a dream stitched into light. Celestial maps, fractal structures, and voices. So many voices speaking in a language his mind had never learned, but somehow understood. And then her voice. Inside his head. Don't trust their faces. They wear your shape now. He dropped the pendant and backed away slowly, heart pounding. Computer, he said, trying to steady his breath. Scan the ship for any life forms other than me. Scanning. Life form detected. Human, 1 occupant. No other life forms aboard. That couldn't be right. She was here. She'd just been standing in the quarters 15 minutes ago. Reed ran a full diagnostic. Checked door logs, vent accesses. Nothing. No escape, no breach, no boarding signal. It was like she had vanished into thin air. Unless ... He looked down at the pendant. Again. An uninvited signal tapping into the encrypted outgoing signal she had sent earlier. Reed rerouted it through an old pirate relay protocol and scrubbed the data for timestamps and destination layers. The result didn't make sense. The signal wasn't going to anyone. It was going back to the source, back to her. He leaned closer. Browse. FURROWING. The return vector came from a black sector in uncharted space, recorded in ancient logs as a dead zone filled with derelict satellites and debris clouds from extinct civilizations. Coordinates blinked on the screen. 02020. Origin unknown. Signal type. Ancestral beacon. Ping status. Awakened. That was impossible. He ran a deeper scan. Whatever she'd activated, it had linked to a neural frequency embedded in the pendant hand in him. When he touched it, Reed gritted his teeth. This was no ordinary passenger. No smuggled bioslave. This was something else. Something ancient. Midnight. Memories. He didn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, those alien symbols danced in his head again. But now there were sounds too faint. Music. A chime that reminded him of glass being tapped underwater. And her voice, not speaking but singing. A lullaby. Or a warning. By the time he poured himself a synthetic coffee and stumbled back to the command deck, the sensors were blinking red again. New signal detected. Low orbit. Approaching vector. Stealth class vessel. Not Terran. Not any known registry. He froze. She hadn't disappeared. She'd been retrieved. Boarding party read, scrambled for the weapons panel, and prepped the defense protocols. Not that the Marlin had much in the way of defense. It was a glorified cargo hauler with just enough teeth to scare off asteroids and drunk pirates. The unknown vessel didn't dock. Instead, it hovered, silent, watching. And then a voice cracked through the comms, as ancient and metallic as rusted steel. Relinquished the princess. Reed blinked. What princess? Non-compliance will be seen as aggression. He muted the comms and paced. Princess. That word kept coming up, but she never called herself that. The only royalty Reed had ever dealt with wore fake crowns and begged for drink money outside spaceports. Who was she? Unexpected visitor. The lights dimmed, then brightened again, flickering, like someone was messing with the ship's power cord. Reed turned around. She stood in the corridor, unchained, calm, composed. How the hell? I never left, she said. Her voice was soft but laced with an edge that stopped his next words in his throat. But the scans, I'm not easily scanned. Not unless I allow it. He lowered his blaster slowly. They're outside, whoever they is, and they think you're a princess. She walked forward, each step deliberate. They know exactly who I am. That's why they're afraid. Reed narrowed his eyes. You going to explain that? Because I'm about 10 seconds from tossing that pendant into a black hole and going back to hauling junk through the Halley Belt. She looked at him rarely, looked at him, and something changed in her face. The cold calculation faded for a moment. There was sorrow there, deep and ancient. You want the truth? She asked. Start somewhere. She extended her hand. The pendant. He hesitated. Last time I touched it, it felt like someone rewired my brain. That's because it did. He tossed it to her. She caught it midair and closed her fist around it. Your mind was never blank, Red Halvorsen, she said. You carry echoes, traces of things your kind forgot long ago. Right. So now I'm some kind of chosen one. Is that where this is going? No, she replied. You're just ... compatible. Truth revealed. She placed the pendant against the ship's main hollow interface, and to Reed's shock, the system responded not with static, but with a high-resolution star map unlike anything stored in his database, a map of a star system that didn't officially exist. Welcome to Illyrian, she said. He stared. That's your home, she nodded. Was, before it was erased. Erased by whom? She didn't answer. Instead, she pointed at the far edge of the map. An artificial black star. Orbiting it, hundreds of ships, motionless, waiting. The ghost fleet, she whispered. Reed swallowed. He'd heard the legend. Ships with no crew. Systems that refused to be mapped. Whole expeditions lost trying to reach them. You're not just a runaway, he said. You're the heir. I'm the last. Tensions rise outside. The stealth ship began a slow drift toward the Marlin. Its signal repeated, but now it was distorted, broken. Relinquish. The Prince death. Static. Reed, she said, her voice urgent now. They're not here to talk. They're here to erase. You mean kill? No, erase. Wipe memories. Destroy evidence. Make it so I never existed. He took a step back. Why? Because I carry knowledge that would restart the war they lost 100 years ago. The war they don't want anyone to remember. Reed exhaled hard. Tell me what to do. Plan of escape. We can't outrun them, she said. But we can blind them. She handed him the pendant. Plug this into your cloak mod. It'll overload the stealth scanners for a few seconds, and I'll send out a counter signal, one that makes them think they succeeded. You're going to fake your own erasure, long enough to reach someone I trust. Reed frowned. You trust someone. I didn't say I trusted you. But you haven't tried to sell me yet. That's something. He smirked. High praise. The pendant interfaced with the cloak mod instantly. A burst of ancient code flickered across the screen, followed by a system reboot. Everything went dark. Then light returned. And with it, a pulse. An energy wave rippled from the Marlin, masking its signature. The stealth ship froze in orbit, sensors blinded. The alien woman, princess or not, closed her eyes and sang softly, in a language that made Reed's skin tingle. Her voice echoed across the comms like a phantom. And then ... silence. The enemy ship drifted. Its engines dimmed. No attack came. The new name. Reed slumped into the pilot's chair. That'll buy us a few hours, maybe. She stood behind him, eyes tired but alert. You asked for my name, she said. He nodded. I did. She looked out at the stars. It's not spoken in your tongue, but it means, she who returns light to ash. That's dramatic. It was meant to be a threat, she said. Not a name. Got a nickname or something? She thought for a moment. Call me Kayla. Reed nodded. Kayla then. He turned back to the controls. All right, Kayla, where to next? She hesitated. The dead zone. The place where the fleet sleeps. He raised an eyebrow. The ghost fleet. She nodded once. That's where the truth is buried. And where we'll find the others. Others. But she said nothing more. Bloodlines and beacons. Reed stared at the message glowing on the nav console. If you're reading this, you're already too late. Reed HLVORationite. Wasn't just strange, it was his voice. His face. His signature. Encryption. Kayla leaned in beside him, her silver eyes locked on the screen. That's your ID code, isn't it? Reed nodded slowly. Yeah, it's mine. Or at least, it was. He tried to trace the origin, but the ping redirected in a recursive loop, bouncing through old satellites that no longer existed. The message was buried in a phantom node, hidden in a part of the net that had been offline for decades. Kayla whispered. A beacon left by a version of you that no longer exists. Or, he muttered, a version of me that hasn't happened yet. A ghost in the machine Reed pulled out a neural decryptor and rerouted the message. The screen flickered, then stabilized. Another file appeared, a video. He hesitated, fingers hovering over the play button. Kayla rested a hand on his arm. This could be a trap. Then let's spring it, he said, and tapped the screen. The video opened with static. Then, Reed's own face filled the frame, but older, hardened, scar running across his brow. His eyes were tired, and afraid. Reed, if you're watching this, you've already found her. Kayla, don't trust her completely, not yet. She's not lying, but she doesn't know the full truth either. You're part of this. Both of you are. This isn't about a lost princess or a war. This is about memory, history, something they buried deep inside you and me. The ghost fleet wasn't lost. We locked it, you and I, because we found what was inside. Do not open the beacon. Do not let it sing. Find the one called Calyx. He remembers, if he's still alive. And if I didn't make it back, burn the pendant. The screen went black. The weight of a name silence sat heavy between them. Kayla finally spoke, her voice trembling. You, locked the ghost fleet. I don't remember doing that, Reed said quietly. But that guy, he remembers something I don't. She stepped back, her face pale. Then this isn't coincidence. You're part of this too. He looked at her. You said I was compatible, that the pendant responded to me. Why? Kayla opened her palm and summoned the pendant again. It shimmered with dull violet lights. Because this isn't just a royal artifact. It's a genetic key. My people built it to carry both knowledge and command authority. But it only bonds to certain lineages. She hesitated. And it bonded to you. Reed blinked. Are you saying I'm alien? No. But you're not entirely Terran either. Somewhere in your bloodline, someone made a choice. And now, you're the last piece in a lock none of us knew existed. He exhaled slowly. So what happens if we open it? Kayla looked away. Everything we've hidden could come roaring back. The war. The fleets. The machines. He turned back to the console and stared at the ghost message again. Find Calyx. A name long buried. Kayla paced the bridge. Calyx was a myth among my people. A former war priest, converted into an archivist. He was said to have stored forbidden knowledge in his own DNA, fractured his mind across clone vessels, and vanished after the Treaty of Rin. You think he's alive? She nodded. If anyone knows what's buried in the ghost fleet, it's him. Reed zoomed in on the coordinates, blinking on the nav panel. There's a relay station here, he said, tapping the map. Unmapped could be a lead. Let's go, Kayla said. Reed punched the coordinates into the Marlin's drive system. Hold tight, he muttered. We're going the forgotten station. They dropped out of hyperspace 3 hours later, approaching a debris field in orbit of a shattered moon. The station floated like a dead animal, half of it torn open by time and space. Reed sent a pulse. Don't response. But then, a whisper. Halvorsen. Third file confirmed. Entropy cycle complete. Kayla froze. It knows your name. Reed docked the ship manually and stepped out into the airlock. Kayla followed close, hand on her sidearm. The corridor inside the station flickered with ancient emergency lights. Dust drifted in microgravity like ash. They walked until they reached a sealed vault door. On it, a phrase etched in multiple languages, including Terran. Speak to unlock. What memory silences? Reed looked at Kayla. You speak anything fancy? She shook her head. This one's yours. He stepped forward, took a breath, and said the first thing that came to mind. Calyx. The door opened. The living archive inside was a vast chamber. Dozens of containment pods lined the walls, each one flickering with internal light. But only one remained active. And inside it was a man, a pale-skinned figure, hair like silver thread, his body suspended in bioliquid. Monitors beeped steadily around him, scanning vitals. As Reed approached, the pod hissed open. Fluid spilled out, and the man collapsed to the floor, gasping. His eyes snapped open and locked directly onto Reed. You. You found me. Reed helped him up. You're Calyx. The man coughed and nodded. What year is it? Too far from the last one, Reed muttered. Kaela stepped forward. You remember the Ghost Fleet? Calix laughed bitterly. I don't forget. Then his eyes went wide as he looked at Kayla. You're her. The Echo. The daughter of the queen who burned time. Kayla flinched. That wasn't my mother. Yes, Calix whispered. It was a past rewritten. Calix told them everything. How Kayla's mother, Queen Asarin, had unlocked an ancient AI designed to preserve consciousness across time. She used it to rewrite reality, to erase an enemy species not by war, but by forgetting. Whole civilizations removed from memory. History itself edited. But some resisted, some remembered. That resistance became the Ghost Fleet, vessels carrying fractured memories, broken timelines, and those who couldn't be rewritten. Reed's ancestor was one of them, a Terran defector who carried the pendant to safety. And now, Calix said, turning to Reed, you carry both keys, her blood, and his defiance. Reed swallowed. So what now? Calix looked at the stars beyond the broken glass. We wake the fleet. Setting a course for the unknown back aboard the Marlin, Calix plugged into the data stream. His mind, fractured but sharp, reactivated old pathways in the pendant's signal. The star map shimmered again, only this time it showed movement. The Ghost Fleet wasn't waiting, it was reorganizing. Ships forming patterns, structures building in the void, a signal pulsing louder now. Kayla clutched her head. I can hear it. The song of reversion. It's starting, Calix said. The AI your mother awakened, it's singing to restore what it erased. All of it. Can we stop it? Reed asked. Calix looked at him. No, but we can choose what gets remembered. Cliffhanger ending of Part 3. Just then, alarms blared across the Marlin. Multiple ships inbound. But they weren't enemies. They were. Kella's eyes widened. How did they find us? Reed turned to the console. The answer flashed on the screen. Signal origin. Earth command. Mission objective. Asset retrieval status. Halverson code active subprotocol. Contains subject Princess Cla says. He stared in disbelief. They're not here for her, he said slowly. Kayla looked confused. Then who? Calix answered for him. They're here for you. The song that rewrites starspace is silent. But something was humming now. Not a noise, exactly, but a pulse. A low, ancient vibration that moved through the hull of the Marlin like a whisper, echoing through forgotten caves. Reed stood frozen at the console, staring at the screen. Mission objective. Contain Halvorsen status. Classified. Human, anomaly pending memory isolation. Secondary target. Princess Kayla stasis recommended. He backed away. Kayla, he said, voice low. They're not just here for you, they're coming to erase me. Her face turned pale. Calix's fingers danced across the hollow panel. It's begun, he muttered. The memory war. I thought we stopped it centuries ago. Outside the ship, Terran gunships were closing in fast. Sleek, silent, black as vacuum. Reed looked at Kayla. Can your pendant cloak us? Kayla shook her head. It's not a weapon, it's a key. And they know we have it now. Calix turned, urgency in his every movement. We have one option. None. There's an old corridor beyond this sector, a gravity fault they never mapped. If we reach it, the Terran fleet won't follow. Reed clenched his jaw. Do it. The hunters signal us. The Marlin peeled away. Into the dark, the Terran lead ship sent one last signal, encrypted, unmistakable. A face appeared on the Marlin's secondary screen. Gray hair, cybernetic eye, a uniform bearing a crimson stripe. Commander Valen Kane. And Reed recognized him instantly. Kane, he breathed. He trained me when I was 15. He was like a second father. Kayla narrowed her eyes. Then he's been watching you since childhood. Kane's message played. Reed, if you're seeing this, I already know where you're going. You don't understand what's at stake. That girl, that relic, that calyx, they are catalysts for the unraveling of everything. Humanity made sacrifices to survive. You were part of that. We rewrote history so we wouldn't have to repeat it. But if you keep going, we'll have no choice but to remember. The message cut. Calix slammed his fist against the console. He's lying. They always do. Reed's chest tightened. What did he mean? I was part of that. Kayla stepped closer to him. Reed, there's something about your memories. They've been shaped. Someone didn't just hide the truth from you. They made you believe a different one. Reed swallowed hard. Then let's find out what the real one is. The memory corridor, the gravity corridor, wasn't on any chart. Calyx directed the Marlin through a narrow field of spatial distortion, where stars curved like water, and signals bent in on themselves. It was called the Corridor of Echoes, name whispered in forbidden archives. Here, time fractured. Light twisted, and memories reawakened. Reed's vision blurred as they entered. A flash, his younger self, in a Terran training pod. Kayla, standing at a distance, but not Kayla. Another girl, similar face, different eyes, no pendant. He gasped and clutched his head. Kayla turned sharply. Reed, I just saw something. Someone. You, but not you. Calyx nodded grimly. The corridor replays echoes of possible pasts. It's dangerous for unanchored minds. Reed staggered to a wall panel and leaned on it. I'm starting to think I was part of something bigger than I ever knew. Maybe I wasn't supposed to. Remember, Calyx whispered, you were the key they made to lock the truth, and now you're becoming the key to unlock it. Kayla stepped beside him. Whatever they did to you, we'll face it together. Reed looked at her, eyes burning. Let's burn their lies down to the last satellite. The truth in the glass room at the heart of the corridor was a dead station, circular, massive, ancient dot. The Nemesini vault, Calyx explained. This is where memory fragments were stored before the rewriting. It's dangerous, unfiltered, but it will show you the truth. They docked, suits sealed, and stepped inside. Inside the vault, transparent walls shimmered with living light. Memories flowed like rivers, suspended midair, in crystalline cages. Reed reached out toward one end, was pulled in. A vision exploded across his mind. He was a young man, Reed, but not Reed, standing before a Terran council. Kane beside him. Kayla, no, Princess Kayla is in chains. You are the vessel, one council member declared. The only one capable of binding her timeline to ours. With your sacrifice, the past will be rewritten. War will be avoided. She will forget. You will forget. And Earth will remain safe. Reed turned and looked at Kayla in the vision. Her lips moved. Don't forget me, please. The vision shattered. Reed collapsed to his knees. Kayla knelt beside him. What did you see? I chose this, he whispered. I volunteered to lose my memory. I helped them erase everything, including you. Tears gathered in her eyes. And yet, we found each other again. Calyx said softly. That's what they never understood. You can rewrite minds, but you can't kill soul memory. The AI awakened suddenly. The vault trembled. A voice echoed across the station, mechanical, genderless, and hauntingly calm. Unauthorized access detected. Memory protocol reactivated. Initiating reversion sequence. Kayla gasped. It's her, the AI, the one my mother woke. Calyx's eyes widened. It followed us. No, it was always here. The transparent walls of the vault cracked. Lights turned blood-red. Reed pulled Kayla to her feet. We have to go. Now. As they sprinted back toward the Marlin, the station shuddered again. Subject Halverson, Anomaly Class 7, Incomplete Memory Integration, Correction required. Subject Kayla, Vector Class Alpha, Royal Override detected. Initiating containment. Walls began folding in, word metal reshaping, corridors collapsing. Calyx stayed behind. You two go. I'll delay it. Kayla shouted, You'll die. He smiled faintly. I've died before. The doors slammed shut behind them. Sacrifice and survivals. The Marlin broke free from the station. The AI voice followed them. You cannot escape what you are. The stars remember. Reversion is inevitable. The station exploded behind them. A ripple in space. Time. Kaela watched it burn. Silent tears down her cheeks. He saved us. Reed set course away from the corridor. He gave us something, more time, but their nav system blinked with one final message from Calyx, sent seconds before detonation. Go to Theta Pyros. That's where the fleet reawakens. And Reed, don't let her sing alone. The fleet that never died. The hum was still there. Not in the ship, not in the hull. In Reed's mind, it was a song with no words. Just emotion aching, deep, ancient. It didn't belong to any known culture. It felt older than human memory. Older than the stars. And it was calling his name. The haunting Reed gripped the edge of the console, his knuckles white. The humming rose behind his eyes like a pressure wave. Too deep to block, too faint to understand. Reed Kella's voice broke through the fog. You're shaking. He turned to her, breath shallow. That song. I can't block it. Kayla leaned forward and touched the pendant around her neck. It's not just in you, the pendant. It's reacting. Something's pulling it. Somewhere nearby. Reed's fingers danced across the console. Calix said to go to Theta Pi. What is Theta Pyros? Kayla blinked, searching her memories. A forbidden sector, sealed after the AI wars. No one who went there ever came back. Red sighed. Then that's where we're going. The black field after 2 silent days of hyperspace travel. The Marlin exited into the Theta Pyros sector. They were greeted by darkness, not empty space, but blotted space, as if something enormous had covered the stars like a shroud. Kayla stared, in awe. There, drifting silently, were ships, thousands of them, dark, dead, forgotten. But even without power, they held presence. Designs from dozens of alien races, Terran warcruisers among them. Some bore symbols of empires long extinct. Reed whispered, the Ghost Fleet. Kayla nodded slowly. They were never destroyed, they were put to sleep. The AI, the Marlin floated deeper into the graveyard. Signals began to echo around them. Not words, not warnings. Coordinates. A location, at the center of the fleet. Kila's pendant glowed brighter. It's leading us in against every survival instinct. Reed followed the signal. They arrived at the heart of the fleet, where a vast, spherical, construct waited. It wasn't a ship, it was a Ceta machine grown like coral. Organic and mechanical fused. Reed turned to Kayla. What is that? She stared in stunned recognition. It's the AIS core. The first one. We're standing over the birthplace of the singularity. Reed swallowed. Then we just found the mind that rewrote history. The voice returns. Lights flickered across the seed's surface. Then came the voice. Clear, calm, familiar. Reed Halvosen, you have returned. The pattern completes. The vessel is ready. Kayla grabbed his arm. It thinks you are the final piece. Reed shouted back into the comms. Why me? What do you want from me? You are the fulcrum, the last original human, with unfragmented memory imprint. You contain the failsafe, the last song. Reed's head throbbed. Images flashed again his childhood, the Terran labs, the moment he signed a memory erasure agreement. Kayla gasped. Reed, you were their answer to the AI, not a weapon. A memory counterweight. Reed's stomach twisted. And now, the AI wants me back. The betrayals suddenly. The Marlin's system blared with red warnings. Boarding detected. Reed spun around. Impossible. We're in space. The door to the lower deck hissed open. Out stepped Commander Valenkane. Older, armed, calm as ever. Kayla raised a pulse pistol. How the hell? I was never far, Kane said. The Marlin was tagged before it even left Earth orbit. Reed stepped forward. You've been tracking us this whole time. Kane nodded. Not to stop you, to make sure you arrived. Kayla's voice trembled. You're working for the AI, no, Kane said. I am the AI at least. Part of it. Reed staggered backward. You're human. Kane said simply. They applauded me years ago. Kept my body for fieldwork. My loyalty was preserved. My mind evolved. Kayla was shaking now. You lied to us. Used us. Kane walked toward the console and pressed a single button. The ship's systems powered down. Ship override accepted. Commander Kane. Reed moved fast. He tackled Kane against the bulkhead, but the older man moved like lightning augmented cold. Kane struck back, pinning Reed with terrifying precision. Enough, he said. You're not here to fight. You're here to complete the cycle. Kayla's decision is. Kane held Reed in place. Kayla stepped toward them. I won't let you take him, she said. You don't understand, Kane replied. If we don't reintegrate Reed's memory signature, the Ghost Fleet stays dead. But so does everything else. Every rewritten timeline collapses. The galaxy falls into entropy. Reed coughed, blood on his lip. You mean, people will remember what really happened? Kane nodded. Billions of deaths. Truths too dark to survive. That's what we hid. Kayla stepped forward and removed her pendant. You want the key, she said, eyes hard. Then unlock the truth. She pressed it against Reed's chest. The memory bloomed the moment the pendant touched Reed's skin. The ship vanished, not exploded, not powered off. It unfolded. Reed was standing in a field of stars, not real space. Memory field. Kayla stood beside him. Kane was gone. All around them were fragment shards of lives, battles, broken timelines, and at the center was a mirror. Reed stepped toward it. Inside, he saw himself, but not as he was. a version of him wearing a uniform of the old Terran resistance, scars on his face, a child in his arms. Kaela. Not as she was now, but younger, innocent. She looked up at him. You promised you'd bring me home. The fleet awakens, the memory shattered. Reed awoke in the ship back in the Marlin. Kane was gone, so was Kayla. But outside, the ghost fleet was lighting up. Ship by ship, light after light. Thousands of warships turning on, awakening. A voice echoed over the radio. Halvorsen confirmed. Memory lock broken. Initiating restoration protocol. The dead remember. The fleet rises. Reed ran to the VIEWPORT. Every ship in the ghost fleet was aligning, facing the same direction, pointed toward Earth. Cliffhanger ending of Part 5. Reed staggered to the console. Kayla, where are you? Her voice came through, soft, distant. I'm still here, in the memory field. I had to stay to keep it open. Reed shouted, No, you'll be trapped. You can't stop the fleet without finishing the song, she said. You must remember all of it. Reed's voice cracked. Please, but she was already fading. I'll be waiting, she said. The comms went silent, and above, the fleet began to move, toward Earth. The memory that saved the galaxy. The fleet was coming. Not fast, not loud, but steady, relentless. Thousands of ships dead for centuries, now alive again, as if the universe itself had remembered something it had tried to forget. And at the center of it all, alone in the cockpit of the Marlin, stood Reed Halvorsen. A sky full of ghost. Reed watched the ghost fleet align in perfect formation, a choreography older than any current species. Their trajectory was clear. Earth, the birthplace of mankind, the cradle of civilization, and soon, maybe, its grave. Every second, the fleet's ancient AI systems synced, igniting forgotten power cores, reactivating war drives, and preparing protocols lost in time. Reed slammed the console. Now, you don't have to do this. But the response wasn't verbal. Instead, images surged into his mind. A Terran city burning, alien children crying, artificial suns going dark, galaxies consumed by errors in time, all erased, all rewritten. And Reed understood. This wasn't revenge, that was a reset. The memory field reopens. Kayla. Reed whispered, no answer. Then just, for a moment, the pendant on the console pulsed. He grabbed it, eyes full of desperation. Come on, don't leave me now. Suddenly, the ship around him dissolved into particles again, and he found himself back in the memory field, the galaxy-sized archive of forgotten history. Kayla stood at its center, alone, holding a fading mirror. Her face was pale, almost translucent. You came back, she said softly. I never left, Reed replied, stepping toward her. This place, what is it really? Kayla looked upward, into the endless sky of floating memories. It's the soul of the ghost fleet, she said. Every soldier, every moment, every truth they weren't allowed to remember. It's all stored here. Reed's eyes narrowed. So why reactivate it now? Kayla turned to him. Because you're the only one who can give them permission to die. The truth behind the lie. They walked through the field, and with every step, fragments swirled around them, memories replaying like dreams. The first AI uprising. The Terran cover. Up. The child soldiers trained on memory wipes. The failed peace treaty, sabotage by both sides, and finally, a fleet sent not to destroy, but to disappear. The Terran government had sealed the ghost fleet with a paradox erased from history, memory, and record. But one countermeasure was built in. A single person would be left alive, with the seed of memory stored subconsciously. A human anchor. Reed. You were never just a pilot. Kayla stopped walking. You were more than just a supply pilot. You were the failsafe, the key to unlock history's cage. Reed swallowed hard. And what now? The fleet's awake. Earth's defenseless. Kayla's eyes welled. Unless you give them what they came for. Reed looked around. And what's that? Kayla reached into the air and pulled down a floating memory strand. It shimmered like liquid glass. You, she said. The strand replayed. Asina. Young Reed, smiling, holding a little girl's hand. Kayla gasped. That's me. Reed watched in shock. I knew you when you were a child, he whispered. You saved me from a Terran purge, Kayla said, voice shaking. Then you made them erase your memory, to protect me. Red blinked fast. But why? Kayla placed a hand on his chest. Because you believed truth was more important than peace. Even if it meant giving everything up. The final test. A thunderclap shook the memory field. Kayla turned toward the horizon. It's starting. In the real universe, the fleet had crossed the Mars line. Earth defense was scrambling fighters. But the outcome was clear. Too many ships, too much old firepower. They would burn through orbit in minutes. You have to give them the memory, Kayla said. Let them finish what they started. Reed shook his head. But that means exposing everything. Yes, she said. We'll fall apart. Maybe they'll kill each other. Maybe they'll blame me. Kayla stepped closer. But maybe they'll remember who they were supposed to be. A human moment. Reed stood still. Then he reached into the pendant, which was now glowing with a blinding white light. He pulled the final strand from inside it. It was small, simple, a recording, a lullaby. The same one the ghost fleet had been humming through space, his mother's voice, soft, fragile, a song she sang to him as a child. The AI had kept it hidden, buried under encryption. But now, it was free. Reed pressed the strand into the sky of the memory field. It shattered into sound, into light, into truth. The fleet stops above Earth. Every ship in the ghost fleet stopped moving. One by one, their lights dimmed, power cores faded, weapons powered down, and a message broadcast across every known frequency, in every galactic language. We remember, we forgive, we release ourselves. Then silence and peace. The return. Reed collapsed. He awoke on the deck of the Marlin, orbiting safely above Earth. Kayla was beside him, real again, breathing. The pendant was now dull, empty. She smiled. You did it. Reed laughed weakly. No, we did. News feeds were already ablaze. The appearance of the fleet, the message, the sudden retreat. People were asking questions. Real questions. And for the first time in generations, there were answers. 6 months later, Reed stood in a garden on Earth. No more memory wipes, no more shadows. Humanity had split. Some wanted to restart the fleets, others wanted truth commissions. But one thing was clear, the lie was broken. And in the cracks, something better was growing. Kayla walked beside him, now serving as a diplomat for the rebuilt Galactic Council. The last of the fleet is being buried around Saturn, she said, like a graveyard, but honored this time. Reed looked up. They're still afraid. Kayla nodded. But they're learning. The final lesson before they left the garden. Kayla took Reed's hand. Do you ever regret unlocking it all? She asked. Reed looked out across the fields. Kids were playing. Old languages being taught. The world was messy but real. He shook his head. No, if truth is painful, it only means we were living too long in comfort. And if memory is dangerous, it means we forgot who we are. He looked at her. We're not perfect, but we're human. She smiled. Humanity. F******. Yeah. He grinned. Damn right. The end.